Welcome to Sasquatch and Sourdough, the podcast where we embark on a journey into the depths of the unknown, weaving together threads of ancient scripture, tales of high strangeness, and the joys of nature. Whether you're a seeker of truth, a lover of the great outdoors, or simply hungry for a good story, Sasquatch and Sourdough invites you to join us on a journey of discovery, wonder, and deliciousness. So grab your backpack, sharpen your senses, and prepare to explore the sacred mysteries of our highly strange world like never before.
Welcome to Sasquatch and Sourdough. I am your host, Christina, and I am joined by my beautiful best friend, Crystal.
Hi, everybody.
We were just talking during PreRoll about, so I have a confession to make. I don't actually feel confident in my sourdough baking skills, and we decided that instead of the folk method, I just prefer the chaos method. And I just throw everything, all the flour, all the water, like kind of loosely measure, and then just really pray that it works.
Mm-hmm. Dump and pray.
Dump and pray. And it kind of works. So I feel like not so much a failure, but I wanted to be honest with our listeners that I'm not at all anywhere near professionally making sourdough.
Like a sourdough genius.
No. So we definitely need help. But the only time that I was successful was making like pizza dough, because it's just like flat. Like it doesn't rise.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
Sourdough flatbread.
Yeah.
It tastes good. And you made focaccia once.
I did. It was accidental.
Accidental focaccia. It's the best focaccia.
It was really good. It had like rosemary and tomatoes.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what's in focaccia.
That's all it is.
And a lot of oil.
And then I also learned that, what were we talking about? Oh, how I don't know where the pots and pans and the proofing.
Okay, so yeah, I was talking about how I started watching the British baking show a couple years ago, and they put their bread and things that they're rising in the proving drawer, which is the drawer in the bottom of the oven.
No.
I just store pots and pans in there.
That's where pots and pans go in America.
Exactly.
I don't know. Unless I'm totally wrong, and I'm like literally, you told me that during pre-roll, and I was like, there's no way.
It totally is.
That's what it's made for. It's not a storage drawer.
So then that might be the reason why our dough isn't rising correctly.
No.
Because it needs to go in the proving drawer.
Well, it's not going to happen during the summer, because the air conditioning is going to be on. And
yeah, and it's like 50 degrees in the house when you have the air conditioner on.
No. And as much as I want to be that person that's like, you know, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like you're homesteading, but you're like in the suburbs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and it's like really quaint, and like you make all these beautiful like Instagram posts. I'm not that gal.
And like, you wear aprons, and you have beautiful china,
like prairie dresses, and it's like, this is our simple life. And I love you if you're out there and you can do that and you're living that way. God bless you.
I'm jealous. I want to live that way.
I would love that.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like after like 5 minutes, I would be like, I can't keep doing this anymore.
Yeah. Well, I think if we had a big chunk of property with like a bunch of stuff growing, and you could just go outside in your little apron and like put all your berries in your little pocket, and get all your little herbs.
I just want to be like a little house on the prairie.
And you can hear like twinkling music in the background as you're walking barefoot.
Sounds wonderful. That's my vision of summer.
It is mine too. I have a vision board.
And we're like going to the farm and picking berries, and then like we put them all in a container and like smash them with our feet.
Oh yes, definitely.
And with our aprons.
I definitely want to put things in an apron pocket.
Oh yeah,
that sounds about right.
But in reality, I'm just gonna have a 9-year-old like asking for V-Bucks for Fortnite.
Oh yeah, mine's Roblox.
Yeah.
Robux for Roblox. With
Gen Alphas.
Whatever that stuff is.
Yeah.
Hey mom, look what I can do.
No, we're just going to be dragging them to like all kinds of different places throughout Maryland and be like, we're on the road, look at this cool stuff.
They're going to hate it.
Good.
But then they're going to love it. They're going to hate it initially, but then when they actually do it, they're going to be like, oh, this isn't so bad.
Isn't that how like all summer is?
Mm-hmm.
Like your parents drag you to like cool stuff.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to see the biggest rubber band ball.
Yeah.
And you're like, I hate this in the back of the station wagon. But
we're going to Wally World.
Oh. But then, like, when you remember, you're like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Remember that time in the 80s That's
and
what's
then
gonna
you
happen.
laugh about how horrible it was.
Yeah.
In the moment, you want to kill everybody, but then later on, you're like, "Oh," and you look at everything fondly, like it was funny.
That's why I was like the worst. Remember we did attachment parenting for like an hour
Yeah.
when the little ones were littles.
When they were little. Oh, I hate that word.
I do too.
Don't say
Littles,
it.
the littles.
The littles. Ugh,
We're
we are
taking the
not.
littles. I'm sorry. I love
We
you
are
so
not
much.
friends if you say that word.
No, no. Everyone's welcome in the kitchen.
Okay, I'm
Everyone's
sorry.
welcome here.
I don't mean to be judgmental.
If that's you and you say littles, right? And if you say kiddos, you're welcome here. I
or
love you.
hubby, hubby.
Bleh. But when the kiddos were little, oh man, yeah, we tried attachment parenting where you're like, we probably did it wrong. Because that's not how we were not parented that way.
No,
But where it's
we
just
were
like,
learning on the fly,
I see your little feelings and they're really important.
and I'm gonna try to validate
Let
them.
me validate every little thing. And then in 5 minutes, I was like, just pick up the shoe.
Yeah, I mean, because basically your child is a caveman, and they don't even know what kind of feelings they're having.
No, they're insane.
Yeah, they're not having valid feelings, really.
No.
They're just like losing their minds because they don't know anything. So it's like we're supposed to teach them how to be functioning humans.
Like, we're learning this together. No, we're not. Shut up and do your job.
I already
do
know what
I
I'm
say.
doing.
Do what
It's
I
time
yes.
for you to learn.
It's time for you to learn that the best way is to do what I say.
Yep.
Parenting tips here. Sasquatch and sourdough. You learned it. You heard it first.
Oh boy.
But yeah, so speaking of road trips, a couple weeks ago, we went to Sykesville, Maryland, and we had the best time. It's a beautiful drive.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful town. Beautiful town.
Main Street.
One, like, best small town in America, 2 years, I think, running.
Yep, 2 years in a row.
It was amazing. So we went to a little flower store called Botanigal. Check that place out. It's a really great day trip. You can take the littles and you can just, there's like ice cream and a really cool park.
There's a farmer's market on the weekends.
Yeah.
Starting like this month, I think.
Yeah.
And a wine festival too. I think that was a couple weeks ago.
It's one of those towns that like you can walk down the main street and they have like banners, like wine festival, and it's like, oh, it's so beautiful.
And like lights strung up everywhere, like cafe lights. Just a little magic place.
Awesome.
In the mountains.
Yep.
Yeah.
So definitely check that out. It's worth the drive. It's only like 30 minutes. It wasn't
It's
that
not far
from us,
from Baltimore. It's about 30 minutes.
But the reason we went there was because we wanted to check out the Sykesville Monster.
The Sykesville Monster.
The Sykesville Monster. So
Sasquatch in Maryland.
Or was there? So basically this account is from a really cool guy called, his name's Lon Strickler. And this encounter that he had with this monster or this creature really kicked off a career of just, not so much cryptozoology, but just getting into all the weird stuff, getting into all the blurry stuff. Like he's got a great YouTube channel that you can check out. And he talks about this on a lot of other podcasts.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool story. And he actually, so I love it. So it happened in the 80s. And basically what happened was he was fly fishing in the river, the Patapsco River. And this whole area is part of the Patapsco State Park. So he was fly fishing on the south bank, and he said he noticed like a small like mixed breed dog sort of like sniffing around the weeds, and then it just starts like barking. And so he's like taking a look. He's trying to keep his mind on his fishing, but this dog keeps barking. And then after a few minutes or so, he hears the dog start like growling. And so he's like, all right, well, you probably saw a deer. What else is there going to be?
Yeah, squirrel, something.
And so he says that like he noticed a dark, hairy creature bobbing up and down in the thickets. And so we actually took a hike, like kind of close to where he would have been. He said he was about like a mile outside of town.
Yeah, about a mile outside of town.
So we tried to kind of estimate like where he would have been, and that was a great hike too.
That was a great hike.
Yeah. It was right before, so like right now in May, there's just a lot of, tree cover and stuff like that. So it was right when everything was blooming. And we probably did about like a good 2-mile hike, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
But we were kind of up further and saw just all kinds of cool, get to kind of turn around and like look at where he might have been standing. And we saw the road where he was. So that was kind of neat. So he says that after I guess I would probably do the same thing. I saw a dark, hairy creature. He stopped fishing and moved closer to where he kind of heard all this rifling and to get a better look. And then the dog stopped barking.
And the dog like yelped, didn't it?
Yeah.
Like it was hurt?
Yeah. He says, I heard a loud yelp from the dog and then a creature stood up. His best estimation of, he calls it the thing, was that it was about 7 to 8 feet tall. Had dark matted hair, and that he could only see the body from the chest up, and then the rest of the body was obscured by weeds and thickets. And then he goes on to say, I stood completely still and could hear a series of tick sounds while observing this creature walk slowly through the thickets towards the woods. I started to follow it, which I don't think I probably would have done that. And he said it just smelled like musty.
Yeah, didn't he say it smelled like fox urine?
Yeah. He goes on to say, I had waders on, so I could only move so fast in an attempt to get a better look at this creature. I stopped moving, it simply moved too fast for me. I decided to go back into my car, drive into Sykesville, and make an immediate report to the authorities. And then on the way back to his car, he sees the dog, and he notices that the dog has some blood on it.
Yeah, on its muzzle. Yeah. But he said the dog was still able to function, and he wasn't really worried about the dog. He was more worried about reporting the Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Or the creature.
The creature.
The thing.
Yeah. So he drove to the nearest telephone. This is before cell phones in the 80s. And he said it was located outside of a local bar. And the police told him to go back to the area and that they would meet him there. So when he gets back in his car, he says, I seriously thought about going into the bar for a minute first, but better judgment made me change my mind. Which is kind of funny because in the 80s, I don't know.
Yeah, people were still driving around drinking. It was still legal.
Yeah.
Until 82 or 3 or something.
But you could, that just sounds like something my dad would do. I saw this weird thing and then I went to the bar to make a phone call. Right. I had to make a phone call. Just gonna wait here, shall I? And he says, so he didn't stay, and he got back in his car and he drove back to the river. And he says, I was amazed that a Maryland State police cruiser was already there. So in the time it took him to make the phone call, get the directive from the authorities, go back, somebody had already been dispatched. Which is kind of sus, right? And then he says the state police officer told me to get back in my car and leave immediately because they didn't know how dangerous the situation was. I tried to explain to him that I was the one that made the initial report, but he refused to let me talk and again told me to leave. And then Lon goes on to say that he went back to the area an hour later and the place was crawling with people and vehicles.
Yeah, that was he said there were big dogs and police with big guns, choppers, feds, and they were just combing the whole area. They were nearby enough to get there within an hour.
That's just crazy to me. And there was people from the zoo there too.
Yeah. Testing for hair samples. Lon says that one of the police told him that they did find some evidence.
Oh, really?
But they wouldn't tell him exactly what it was. And they instructed him to not repeat anything that he had heard or seen and keep quiet. They didn't want him telling this story.
And I love that he did not.
He didn't listen. He told everybody.
He's you know what I'm actually going to do?
I'm going to make a career
I'm
out of
going
it.
to go ahead and tell this story and other people's stories.
Yeah. And he did all his own investigating. He couldn't live it down. He had to get more evidence. So he did. He went out and he investigated a lot of people in the town and he collected a lot of stories.
There were a lot of stories so people, again, that's what I kind of love is that once you sort of get a story out, then other people feel comfortable enough to say okay, well, I want to tell my story.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could go and like look him up. He talks about this a ton. I don't think it's really worth it for our listeners to just like word for word, like talk about like what he saw. But I wonder if we could just kind of talk about,
well, there's some other interesting things.
Some of the other incidents around the area.
Like, I wanted to point out real quick that when I was listening to Lon, he said that in 1972, a Hurricane Agnes tore through the town and ripped down the Sykesville Bridge, like straight from its moorings.
Oh, wow.
And in 1972 was when the first sighting occurred.
Interesting.
So, yeah, it was just kind of a weird thing.
What if they're trolls?
I was thinking they got stirred up by the hurricane and they got confused. And they're like, where am I?
Wait a second.
Oh no. Where's my home?
I just went right to trolls.
Trolls. Sorry. So Lod reported, I think he reported like 8 more different sightings between 1972 and 1979.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually listed on the BFRO website as Class A reports.
That's a great resource.
Mm-hmm.
If you have not gone,
yeah.
It's like the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization.
Mm-hmm.
Another great resource of people, that just saw something weird and they're like, okay, well, who do I report it to?
Yeah. So there was a home invasion. There was a utility shed break-in. There were chicken pen break-ins. There was also sightings within the Patapsco State Park of UFOs.
Yep.
So a lot of people like to correlate the UFO theory with Bigfoot. And, the evidence is there. Okay, so another thing was there was a retired police officer that Lon reached out to draw a picture of what he had seen in his best words. So the retired police officer drew it up for him, and when he sent it back to Lon, he was like, are you sure this is exactly what you saw? Because it looks like a picture of early man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it looks, regardless of whatever you're thinking is on that, like it looks like an ape man.
It does.
Like pretty much
like a Neanderthal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like classic ape man.
It's crazy.
I know.
So then there was another person, a man named Phil, who was actually friends with Lon, who lived in Marriottsville. And he found a whole bunch of bones.
Ugh.
He found a skull that was missing a jaw. He found some legs, some vertebrae with reddish brown fur. And they were too big to be human. He called the authorities, and while he was waiting for the authorities, he measured the humerus, which is like the upper arm bone, to be 22 inches, which would be similar to like a large ape or a gorilla.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the state police and the Baltimore County police both came to check out these bones, and they marked the area with crime scene tape.
What?
And more unmarked helicopters and vehicles came, and men in black came to look at these bones.
Like the Men in Black came.
Mm-hmm.
Unmarked cars.
Yep. And helicopters.
And people in suits. Which is crazy because, like, again, we're trying to paint this picture of this, like, quaint little mountain town. And then all of a sudden,
there's all these feds here.
Lon sees the ape man, the Sykesville Monster. And then the wine festival is canceled.
The wine festival is not happening.
Oh, man. Do you remember Transylvania 65000? Ever see that movie?
Yeah, like 100 years ago.
Oh, that's the best movie ever. And they were having a wine festival.
Yeah. Yeah, they were.
And all the monsters were there.
Right.
Oh, man. Okay. Yeah, that's a good movie. Go see it.
So I wanted to bring up another sighting in 1973. A man named Anthony Dorsey saw glowing eyes that were about 7 feet above the ground. And the eyes were in the front of the face, so he knew it wasn't like a prey animal that you would usually see, like a deer or something like that.
Right.
And he was actually a firefighter, so he was a very good source.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Then another guy, a trucker, he's anonymous. He didn't want anyone to know that he saw this thing.
And these are all from the BFRO.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know if they all are. These are just stories
that Lon kind of gathered.
You can find.
Yeah.
He was driving through the town on Route 32, and he saw a 7 to 8 foot creature stand up on the side of the road and walk into the woods. He said it either was a very tall man, or it was a man on stilts, caked with mud from the waist down.
Just classic.
Yeah.
You know,
Man on stilts.
Taking a hike with
Hanging
my
out
stilts.
on the road.
So that's not. He was just probably telling himself that, like, you know what? It wasn't a creature. It was probably just, I know what happened. He was on stilts, and he fell in some mud.
Yeah.
And I saw it. No, sir.
And then in like 1973, when the truckers saw this man on stilts, there were police copters all over the area, again with spotlights, searching the forest. And some people said it was probably an escaped circus gorilla or a deformed bear.
How many deformed bears
And escaped circus gorillas?
What is this, like a Mickey Mouse cartoon? Like, that sounds like the plot of some cartoon.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
no.
It's nuts.
Sometimes I feel like a lot of the, with these stories, it's just the opposite of like Occam's razor. Like, Occam's razor is like, it's the most rational, like the most obvious answer is right in front of your face, and that's probably what it is.
Yeah.
But it's like, why do we have to make these stories up, like these scenarios? Like,
people
can't
are
we
too
just
scared
like,
of the strange,
the strange
and mysterious.
Like, no, it's actually probably just like it's probably just Sasquatch.
It's probably just Sasquatch. So there were rumors that
or trolls.
There were breeding pairs of Sasquatch in the Patapsco Valley State Park in those times, up until the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe the last sighting was in 1993. It was like an 8-year-old boy who saw the creature trying to like break into the chicken pens on their property.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody's going to believe an 8-year-old little boy.
I bet they should.
I know.
Oh.
But that's a very creepy park too. Like I was saying about the UFO sightings.
Yeah.
A lot of people see things back there. They see UFOs, they see cryptids. It's just a huge piece of land.
It's a lot of land, and it's dense.
Mm-hmm.
It's dense forest.
Yeah.
So even when we got in,
it's very easy to get lost back there.
we could have easily, we were kind of not paying attention, chatting, recording, and then it was like, wait a second here. We kind of have to.
We were only like 2 miles off the road, too.
Yeah.
We weren't that far in.
So you could see that you could get really turned around.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so we just wanted to bring that little story, another little adventure.
It's a great story.
It's such a great, his recount is really good, and his research is really cool.
Oh, do you know what else I wanted to say about that? They turned the TV show Monsters and Mysteries in America turned this sighting into an episode. I believe it's season 2, episode 10.
Yep.
And when they released this episode, all the people in Sykesville decided to have a watch party at the bar. It's called E.W. Beck's, right on Main Street.
Yep.
And this was in like the 2000s sometime. Oh, I have it written down.
Yeah.
I forget when it was released. I have it written down.
So the original bar was probably like, I think it's been renovated. I think it's the same, because we tried to go in there, but it was closed.
We tried to like figure it out. So it's not the same bar that he would have went to report it.
Yeah.
I have it. Oh, here it is. September 10th. No, I'm sorry. Season 2, episode 10, February 2014.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice. Yeah, so that's not
That was when it was released.
Oh, wow.
Yep. That wasn't that long ago.
No.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
So they had a little watch party at E.W. Beck's, and they had a little signature cocktail.
Oh.
But you know what's funny is when we went into that boutique with the plants, there was a young girl working there. Super nice young girl, maybe in her early 20s.
Yep.
She had no idea what we were talking about.
She had no idea what we're talking about.
Said the Sykesville Monster. She said, what?
And there was an older lady there too, and I thought, oh, maybe
she'll say something.
Maybe she'll bite. And she's like, I'm just visiting. And I'm like,
oh, come on. Somebody talk to us about
Somebody talk to us about Big Butt. But anyway, so that's our story for today. And if you have any tips about sourdough, please send them.
We need help.
We need help.
And let us know if you use your proving drawer.
Yeah, what is that? I don't know. Nobody does. No, it just collects dust. But until next week, if you have a story or a recipe to share, just email us at sasquatchandsourdough@gmail.com, and we want to hear your stories. So until next time, bye.
Bye.
Together, we'll continue to seek the truth, to unravel the mysteries that lie just beyond our grasp. So as you bid farewell to this episode, remember, you are not alone. The wilderness is alive with secrets, waiting to be discovered by those brave enough to venture forth. We want to hear your stories. Email us at sasquatchandsourdough@gmail.com. Until next time, the truth is out there, God is with you, and everyone always ends up in the kitchen.